Now, in spite of all these stories I tell my students, I don't think I naturally am inclined toward living on the edge. Fortunately, my wonderful wife, my children, my family and friends, they sometimes coax me and prod me to head toward the edge because they know that that's where only living on the edge you can experience wonderful things. You see amazing vistas. I'll show you some. You form a story that can change your life for now and for always. And I want to tell one of those stories today. A good friend of mine in the 70s, Barry Hall, talked me into backpacking with him in the Smokies on the Appalachian Trail for a few days. Barry knew that he would be introducing me into some amazing sights. I'll show you a few of those in a few minutes. I put my trust and my hope in him, in his good judgment, that things would turn out all right. Neither one of us anticipated what Mother Nature had in store. We put in a place, some of you probably been to Newfound Gap. We started Newfound Gap. Didn't hike very much that first night. Went to Icewater Springs. Any of you stayed in a bear shelter? So I've got a picture up here of the bear shelter at Mount LeConte. This is a very old picture. If you've been to these bear shelters, they have been renovated. And you're going to figure out why in the next 15 minutes. You can see from this old picture, this is the unrenovated bear shelter at Mount LeConte. It's basically got 3 walls of stone. In the front of it, it's got what I've heard described as chicken wire, but it's not. It's a heavy chain link fence. It's got a door on one side. It's got a chimney on the other end. You can actually, in this picture, you can actually see a couple of backpacks hanging up inside. And back in the old days, that's what we did. We put our food inside. Not a good idea, as you'll hear. I'm particularly interested in this door for a number of reasons. I'll talk about that in a little while. It's meant to keep out bears. It doesn't keep out all critters. That first night we stayed at Icewater Springs, there was a notebook in there where people recorded their adventures, kind of a journal. It said, for example, 5 a.m. there's skunk's gonna come in and sleep under bunk number 2. And that's what happened. And we slept pretty well and I've had friends say they slept with skunks, but I really have, all right? 5 a.m. the skunk goes under that door, and that's interesting to me. So small critters can get in. Mice kind of bothered us because they're running around trying to get in our backpacks and that sort of thing. But it's designed to keep those bears out. Unfortunately, we didn't see any bears at Icewater Springs. When we spent the night, we did see some bear tracks that next day. And then we went by a place called Charlie's Bunyan. Anyone been there? Have you been there? So it's an amazing place, right? That's what the trip was for. I'll show you a few slides later. So we went out there to Charlie's Bunyan, a place named after the unusual problems that Charlie had with his foot. But it's an amazing sight, and that's really what we were going for. We went out there, and it was amazing. We hiked a little bit out of our way. So have you been to Mount LeConte? So have you been to the Mount LeConte Bear Shelter? So this is the Mount LeConte Bear Shelter before it was renovated. So probably when you were there, they put in some lighting, some clear story lighting. They don't have a fence anymore, do they?
The tarp.
Right, but you hang your food. Well, we're going to figure out why in just a few minutes here. So we hiked, I guess it's about 12 or 15 miles, not much by backpacking standards. We got to Mount LeConte, we put in there, and we got there early. It was a lot of hiking for me. It wasn't much hiking for Barry. We did a lot of this. Got there early. We had our pick of the bunks. So back in the back, there's kind of these 6 hardware cloth places you can put your sleeping bag out. So we had first choice. That was pretty sweet. We hung our backpacks up there. we're chatting actually with some day campers. I'm standing in the doorway because we're still sorting some stuff, and they're out in front kind of sitting in a circle eating their lunches when something unusual happened we didn't expect. It was like a movie, actually. We hear this roar. Oh, this bear comes running out of the woods. Growling, roaring. I think it was a professional bear. It seemed like it had done this before, because it went into the middle of these people and they all dropped their lunch, right? They scattered like a covey of quail. They went everywhere, which was kind of funny from my perspective because I'm standing in the door, right? So I'm the janitor, I'm the doorman. I let people in, so they're scattered, and one by one they come over and they, I let them in, and, the bear's eating their lunches, and the bear grabs somebody's backpack and starts tearing into it. So one of the points I was going to make is living on the edge does not mean trying to retrieve a backpack from a bear. Before I go any further, I'll mention that there were no humans and no animals injured in the making of this story. But we did have an individual who wanted to retrieve his backpack. My friend Barry was a trained paramedic. He's trained in mountain rescue. We tried to talk to this guy. I said, you don't want to do that. This bear can disembowel you without even trying. My friend Barry said, here at Mount LeConte, what we'll have to do, we'll have to chainsaw a bunch of these trees down and fly you out in a helicopter. And he still wanted to go retrieve that backpack. Now, that is not living on the edge, okay? That's jumping off the edge. Even if you're a trained bear wrestler, or if you've got a paramedic, or if you've got a staff of surgeons and medical professionals standing by, don't try to take a backpack from a bear. Sadly, he wouldn't listen to us, but gladly he listened to his 10-year-old son. Sadly, he no longer has a backpack. The backpack disappeared into the woods. We hear the bear ripping into the backpack. It disappeared. Then the bear reemerges and comes and looks us over. It is the reverse of a zoo. 15 people behind a heavy chain link fence, and this proud bear pacing back and forth. And then she does something we didn't anticipate. She climbs up on that door. So that door, just keep in mind, it doesn't go all the way to the floor, doesn't go all the way to the ceiling. It goes sufficiently tall and sufficiently low to keep a big bear out. It's only held closed by a chain and an S hook. There's no lock, there's no key, there's no latch. It's just an S hook hanging there. So when this bear crawls on the door, locks her 4 paws in the door, and roars. Well, we are, of course, petrified. Nobody wants to go hold the door closed. Nobody wants to go near the latch. Imagine that. She's apparently done this before. We're terrified. She paces back and forth, and then something happens that sends chills up my spine. Her 2 cubs walk up. And I realized, whoa, this day really got much worse. Because I know these cubs, if they want to, they can get under this door. I've seen a skunk do it, right? And I know if the cubs come under the door, Mama's coming. Now keep in mind that the roof of this thing is corrugated fiberglass. I mean, you can see through part of it. The image I always have is as a can of sardines. So Mama Bear walks around the back and crawls up on the roof. And I can see her steps moving across the roof. See, it's translucent. I see her moving across there, and we're just waiting for disaster. I know that if she knew about that roof, she could come in. I know that if the cubs, nobody's going to kick the cubs out of the house, right? If the cubs come in, she's coming in. And then we have this eerie period of silence where we really don't know what's going on. I no longer see the steps moving. I've lost track of her. Don't know where she is. She's at the last moment, she's on the roof. Don't know if she's down, don't know where she is. We think the odds of her jumping on me if I walk out the door are very slim. But I'm not about to jump off the edge, right? I'm not doing it. Nobody's willing to walk out and see where she is or what she's doing. Do notice, by the way, that the door is on this end and the chimney is on this end. My friend, as we're having this extended rational discussion about what's going to happen next, because we've got about 30 minutes of daylight left. We know we've got a problem on our hands. You've been to Mount LeConte, so we're not getting out there. It's only, about 5 miles, but it's 5 steep miles, so we can't get out of there in the daylight. We could go back to Icewater Springs, but that's about 13 miles. We could camp somewhere out there, but that's not looking appetizing. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to make a reservation. Stay in a bear shelter. So we're having this discussion when my friend Barry thinks he notices something at the chimney, some dust coming down. And he goes over to look up the chimney when the capstone comes crashing down. Boom. It nearly hits him in the face. Immediately, I actually go outside because I now know where the bear is, right? The bear is right there. I go out the door. Sadly, all I see are hind legs. Now, I have already assured everyone there's no way this bear can come down this chimney. In fact, I continue to assure them, this is a big bear. She's got 2 cubs. It's not a very big chimney. There's no way this bear is going to come down the chimney. Barry's not so sure. I mean, he says he thinks she can come down. He thinks that animals can do strange things. We're having this discussion when it was almost like a miracle happened. Now, you remember when the bear first came in to get lunch, it roared, right? Came roaring, crashing through all that. That was really being polite. What happened next was almost magical. There was no roar. There was no thud. There were no scraping sounds. There were no rocks falling. We're having this discussion, and suddenly she appears. She's at the bottom of the chimney. I can't explain it rationally, except she decided she wanted to come down, and she came down, and she slipped down. And it is a microsecond of cosmic silence. Because she's there, and the 12 of us are there, and it dawns on all of us at about the same time. What a bad situation this is. She has come down the chimney. This is a very teeny hiding space. Not much room for living. We no longer want to be in the bear shelter. More importantly, I can almost assure you she has never been in a bear shelter and never been in these close quarters with 12 people. And she does not want to be there. Again, keep it in mind that nobody was injured. No animals were injured in this story. What happens next, I can't really explain it. She goes berserk. She goes hysterical. She's spinning around. She's slapping at everything. And obviously, we're just falling over ourselves trying to get out of it. We do. All 12 of us get out before she does. And again, she's decided she does not want to be in there. She does not want to be locked up. She does not want to be enclosed. She runs out. And of course, we all run back in. And we're back to the reverse zoo situation where she's looking at us. I wish I could say that we slept well that night. We did not. There was 12 of us in those bunks. I found one of these poles, and I bent it in about 3 or 4 angles, and I shoved it up the chimney. We packed it full of rocks so that at least we get warned next time, all right? Not, I'm no longer going to swear she can't come down the chimney. She's already done it. But at least we get some warning. The door I really can't do anything about. And so she, just like clockwork, it seemed like every hour she would go and lock her claws in that door and roar. And of course we would just scream bloody murder. 12 men and women. I swear I didn't really scream as badly as they did because I was in a safe place. I chose the first bump, so somebody else was going to get eaten before I would. Not really true, but yeah, we're all screaming bloody murder. We're all sitting up. We're terrified. We have a rough night. Next day we do slip out. We're finding ways to distract the bear. We live happily ever after. We sort out in groups of 2s and 3s. We make our way back. I will point out that we sleep the next night in Icewater Springs. We get the rangers, and of course they swear they've never had a bear come down the chimney. We swear one did. They've renovated these bear shelters now, right? You're not going to have this problem anymore. We did spend a night in Icewater Springs. You won't believe there was 3 of us. The next person there was a graduate student doing research on the interaction between bears and humans. We told our stories and he told theirs. My favorite was the parents who smeared honey on their child so they could take a picture of the bear licking it off. All right, so back to the point here, living on the edge. That's not living on the edge. That's even worse than jumping off the edge. This is throwing your kid off the edge. Don't do that. Remember, don't do that. However, I do hope you'll remember that with the right people in your lives as you travel through life, encouraging you, pressing you to your potential. Maybe past your potential. There's no end to what you might see. If you're going to see, there you go, Charlie's button. If you're going to see this kind of stuff, if you're going to experience these kinds of things, you're going to have to live near the edge. Godspeed and thanks.